Hello, author friends. This is William Searles with the New York Critique. The first thing I would like to do, as usual, is thank all of you for your support. I can't tell you how much we appreciate you guys following our page, watching our videos, liking the videos, commenting on them, and sharing them. It means a lot to us, and I promise you we're going to do our best to continue to provide content that hopefully has a positive impact on your careers and lives as writers. What I want to talk about today, you've probably heard the more graphic versions of this phrase, kill your babies, kill your children, and really what that references is trimming fat off of our manuscript. And I think a lot of times people make the mistake of believing that only references characters, and really what it means is trimming the overall fat of the manuscript throughout and really putting our work in a position for it to be commercially successful. Where that phrase comes from is actually from a British author by the name of Arthur Quiller Couch. And ironically, he's on both sides of the spectrum. He encourages us in the early drafts to write everything we can think of, knowing we're going to go in and edit it. And this is actually a quote from him I'm going to read. He says, "Whenever you feel an impulse to perpetrate a piece of exceptionally fine writing, obey it wholeheartedly and delete it before sending your manuscript to press. Murder your darlings." Murder your darlings is the original phrase. And again, all this references, and in his particular case, he's saying write everything you can, knowing you're going to go in and cut a lot of those things out. And again, as writers, we think everything we write is the cure for everyone's problems and nothing needs to be cut, and that's simply not how it works. Now, here's 3 exercises I want you to do, and they're pretty quick. There's lots of things you can do to trim fat, but these 3 things I think will definitely start trimming things down to make your work the best it can be. Number 1, get a piece of paper, write down all your chapters, and next to that, I want you to identify what that chapter does to keep the story moving forward. Again, don't be afraid to cut some work. If you can identify what that chapter does to improve the story and keep it moving in the right direction, cut it. I promise you that's a good exercise. Number 2, dialogue, particularly with newer authors. Dialogue is a way to beef up your word count. And in many cases, the dialogue is I don't want to say meaningless, but really does not contribute a whole lot to the story. And a good exercise to do is grab yourself a recorder, read your dialogue into the recorder, listen back to it, and ask yourself 2 questions. A, do people really talk like that? And B, once again, what does this dialogue do to contribute to the story moving forward? If it doesn't, cut it. I promise you those 2 exercises will work. Next one, pretty biggie, and this is really, a lot of where people think kill your darlings comes from, or murder your darlings comes from, and this is the legitimate version of it, and this does reference your characters. Again, everything we write doesn't have to be kept. Again, we're spilling things out in the early drafts, and as we go in and cut, here's a really good exercise. I want you to get yourself a timer. Two good exercises. Get yourself a timer. I've mentioned this in a previous video, but I want to say it again because it's important. Set the timer for 2 minutes. Grab yourself a pen and paper. And keep in mind, no one knows your story better than you. In 2 minutes, I want you to write down who your protagonist is, what his or her goal is, what obstacles he or she faces to reach that goal, what changes he or she is going to make to overcome those obstacles to reach that goal, and finally, why would anyone care? Keep in mind, again, no one knows your story better than you. If you can't answer those questions in 2 minutes, there's a really good chance you don't know what your story's about. And I promise you, if you don't know what your story's about, your reader's not going to know what it's about, so you might want to go back in and revisit your story. Next exercise, set that timer for 5 minutes. I think this is a biggie. Grab your pen and paper again, and in 5 minutes, without looking, write down all your characters. After you've got them written down, next to their name, I want you to explain or write what role they play in the protagonist reaching his or her goal. Next, I want you to talk about what makes that character interesting. Now, in 5 minutes, if you forgot any character, get rid of them. If you have a problem describing any of those things with any character, get rid of them. And when I'm talking about what makes a character interesting, keep in mind, we have to keep your reader's interest. I'm not talking about reinventing the wheel in terms of what's interesting. Whether you think life imitates art or art imitates life, think about what makes your best friend your best friend. Think about what makes the funniest person the funniest person. Or think about what makes the biggest jerk you know. Sometimes these attributes, if you need to cut a character, you can take some of these things and sprinkle them around other characters to make them more interesting. And the next, I strongly suggest, unless you're writing a 2,000-page book that you think, or a 1,000-page book that you think the reader can keep up with, I think a golden number to keep your number of characters is around 7. Readers read fiction to escape from reality. They look to create an emotional bond with specific characters. If you have too many people are too many characters for the reader to keep track of, and they need a scorecard to keep track of who is who, it's probably going to prevent them from creating that bond and keeping their interest in the story as it moves forward. Appreciate your guys' time. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please follow us. Stop by thenewyorkcritique.com, say hello, click on some different tabs. We have absolutely no doubt we can make your story better. Thank you for your time. Have a great day and happy writing.